All right. Here we are. Question number 27. Is it a sin to get a tattoo? I don't make these questions up, by the way. People send them in. You sent this in. You sent this in. You know yourself. All right. Leviticus 19:28. You shall not make any cuttings in your flesh for the dead, nor print any marks upon you. I am the Lord. So that's the only passage, and that's stated several times, but that's the only passage on that, other than it's being repeated, that says you are not to make any marks upon your flesh. He equates it with making cuttings. A lot of cultures would cut themselves and rub something in it to make it a raised whelp, or even put a color in it, like put ash or something in it so it made black marks or other colors. And then there are times when some cultures will cut themselves whenever someone dies. And then in our culture, people cut themselves just to create a rush of endorphins if they're feeling bad. A lot of young people practice cutting. The Bible says you're not to do that. And it says you're not to put any marks upon your flesh, any words, letters, designs, or symbols. Now, this is Old Testament. There's nothing like this repeated in the New Testament. This was written to the Jewish people. And if God was really deeply concerned about this, there'd be something about it in the New Testament. This was not one of the 10 Commandments. This was part of the process of God addressing the nation of Israel on how they should conduct themselves. And there's several hundred little laws like this have to do with diet and dress and different things that they were to do. So I would not divide Christians into the untattooed sanctified ones and the lesser tattooed ones. I wouldn't divide them up like that. A lot of fine Christian people that are tattooed. But if I were untattooed, I would put this passage of Scripture out and tell you, God says you ought not do it. Says you ought not do it. Now, why? If you put it together, he says not to shave any spots on your head. Don't cut your beard off in different shapes and form it. Don't tattoo yourself. Don't make any cuttings in your body. Basically, all of that has to do with God made you, gave you your body, gave you your hair color, your eye color, gave you your body. And it's perfect, is what God wants. So don't go messing with it. Don't go trying to do something with your facial hair or your hair on your head by shaving it off or making a mohawk out of it or making something long here and short there and cutting little symbols in it and shaving your beard off to give yourself some fancy look. It's always embarrassing to me to see a man primping himself by decorating his beard and hair. It's, are you a man or not? What are you? Some kind of a store mannequin? Who needs it? It's kind of an embarrassing thing. And then when people start getting into trends and trying to keep up with a certain sect or group by looking one way or looking another, it just gets a little bit embarrassing. And so be content with the way God made you. Be content with who you are. If you want to shave your face off, I'll never notice. It won't bother me one bit. I'll notice in the cold weather that you're chafing quicker than I am. I notice in hot weather you're sunburning quicker than I am. But I'll be generally more modified, cooler in the summer, warmer in the winter. But this is not one of those things that's going to turn Christianity on its end and split a church. At least it shouldn't. So I would say if you hadn't got a tattoo, according to this, don't get one. It's not cool. If you already got one, you're stuck with it. That's your problem. But I don't have any feelings toward you about having it, and no one else should either. That's your business. You'll answer to God if there's anything to answer. God, you get to heaven, God might just look at it and say, it's cool, but you'd been better off if you hadn't done it. Something like that, Or he might say, how you've been sickly? It's because of that tattoo. But he's not going to, he's going to say, come into the joy of the Lord. He's going to welcome you in like anybody else. So it's not going to be that big a problem. That's the answer to that question.